vacancy, no employment. Get that fire back and from gunshot. Let us go and things get hot. I pray to look out the window. So your voice is slow. I hear you. Sing the chorus. Yeah. Oh, oh. Crying. Crying. They're crying. Just hold your head on order. And them woman stronger than a wall. I've been pushed out, I ain't your daughter. Some in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for you, hear them rat boys coming. That's the black man's strike. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. You didn't drink your child, then you start to swear. Some say life is a cycle, but don't draw she no circle. Now it all end, don't time to tell. Outside the sirens keep howling, inside your belly we rolling. Boys way very often, since the measuring a coffin. One night, in bed you're sleeping, next night is a way that you're keeping. So you pray to win the lotto, after you hear them voice. What you doing? They're still crying. Hey, hey, yeah. Crying. Yeah, crying. 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 Hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Soldier on. Revolution, they collections born. And don't think they're a tragic story. It's a journalist story. No wonder they do the world with scorn. Since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust laws. But yet they renegade desperados, forever knocking on heaven's door. Heaven, steel and music, shut us the silence. I'm on it to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young thugs, they're tough protected, although any young girl expected. So tomorrow, let's go. Let me another shining to crying. Crying, 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 yeah, crying, crying, yeah. Opportunities, well, they're always close. Can't get what one's in white collar. If I can't stretch me dollar, later from me crack or smoke me pipe. Some just all the days from crime. Life does break dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settled with muscle. Till you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Watch. Children, should life keep on drifting? Something life of misery and regret. No one shall come to the rescue except Cape Montana and Kushu. So they boom boxes the Lego. The drum president, that's what they're crying. They're still crying. They're crying and they're crying. Crying and they're crying. Yeah, yeah.
Was it something else?
Crying.
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 Voices from the ghetto. Yeah. We broke. Vote for we and we will set you free. Anyway, somebody chanting for we. Somebody promising job for all. Some renting guns to make other people call. But somebody promising more police car. Somebody going to take the country back. Somebody putting all the bandits away. We say if they do the crime, they're going to damn well pay. But somebody promising a human rights. While somebody threatening to put out your lights. The Montreal full with little Trinidad boys. A bullet stop the wine and put an end to the joy. Now they lying call for their mama to mourn. The Nike gone, the gold teeth gone. You see they want their pocket full with blue silk. They want to stop you drinking old green milk. The little red silk is not their true friend. The blue one have two extra doors on the end. So a tag on the door is now they take it to hell.
Well, look where we reach. Well. I hear a madman call.
As he spread out on the wall.
He said, this is it.
I've been hit. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. The chant of a madman in the steel from the street line. The chant of the madman is the only salvation. I said the chant of a madman in the steel from a straight line. The chant of the madman is the only Anyway, you tell somebody chanting to we.
Vote for we and we gonna set you free.
Somebody promising natural law.
Fly like a yogi, end all the war.
Seeking a peace and all the pain.
The same woman threatening to put on again.
Somebody promising to run all the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class head. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the
Cocaine pass.
Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promised to give we the facts. Somebody promised to clean up the land.
But in this clean land, rats still killing man.
We bright little youths,
Going to waste. Somebody pinch.
the smile on their face. Somebody take one love off the shelf.
Then the wonder boys.
Have to sell out themselves. Somebody gonna end all this talk about the race, but they can't tell me that with a straight face. Big man dying, the crime can't solve. A madman around is the only resolve. I hear the madman call as he lay on the wall. He said, this is it. I've been hit, but no time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman in the steel from a straight line. It was a chant of a madman in the steel from a straight line. The chant of the madman is the only salvation.
I want to show you something. I want to show you this here. There's the Ministry of National Security. This is the Ministry of Transportation. This is the Ministry of Communication. See this phone? This phone doing more work than the whole cabinet. This phone here. This phone running the country. This phone fixing things in Trinidad and Tobago. This phone making a difference. Let me talk now. I don't know where to start. First of all, let me do some housekeeping. Eid Mubarak to my Muslim brothers and sisters, to all of Trinidad and Tobago and the wider world. Let's say to our brothers and sisters, again, it is great that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not the politicians, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, make Trinidad and Tobago a multi-ethnic society. We practice tolerance. We are all encompassing, all embracing. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we do that. Not no politicians. So let me get out of the way. First and foremost, listen, I want to answer to all the messages. I really want to answer all the messages and take the lead. Let me do some more housekeeping. 1 million of y'all want this phone to be the Ministry of Health. 1 million of y'all want this phone to be the Ministry of Education. Let's deal with... That's not, I don't make a note. Let's deal with the schools and the virus. Let's deal with that. Everybody calling me in a panic. And they want to know why I'm not posting it on Facebook. There are many reasons why I'm not posting it on Facebook. First and foremost, anything about that virus causing community standards nonsense with Zuckerberg, and I fed up with that. That's one. Two, I said to Trinidad and Tobago, when they announced that they were going to open the schools with 2 months left in a school year, I said that was madness. I said that's just going to raise poor people money. And everybody in Trinidad poor. If you're not living around Wildflower Park today, you're poor. Everybody else poor. Everybody else catching a nenen. Everybody else couldn't afford 2 pair of school shoes in 1 4-month period. So the government, Nyan Gatsby Dolly is a jackass. She had to know. She had to know back from her days of cricks and cheese, but they don't remember when they eating ham and jam. They don't remember when they used to chip up 10 cents and 15 cents to make up the macaroni money. She forget. She forget her catch-ass days. Somebody need to remind her of catch-ass days when nobody would have wanted to buy 2 shoes in April, buy a pair of shoes in April to go and buy next shoes in September. That's madness, man. All the people wickedness. I told Trinidad and Tobago, that is a reason to stand down. I also said that we are in the waning period of this virus. Let it go. Let it go. Now, I also willing to tell you, children have no risk, 0 risk. But I trust these jackasses to come and jab your children. I trust these jackasses to send your children to school to get the numbers up, to tell you, get your children vaccinated. And I know that bullshit. They want to come with that. So I told y'all, pull your children from the school. People say, well, what if they tell me my child not in the school, they're moving them from the register? If 50,000 children absent, they're moving all 50,000 children from the register? So what are they going to do with the schools? Give it to the Alsing wife? What are they doing with the schools? They're going to move everybody? And if nobody else coming out of school, but you panic because you know that they have cases in the school and the Ministry of Education not letting the principal tell the parents, pull your child, quarantine your child, exposed to the virus. Do like Faris. Every time Faris 2 balls get caught in a vice, exposed to the virus, I had to disappear. Every time Rowley 2 balls get caught in a virus, exposed to the virus, I had to disappear. Disappear yourself for 2 weeks. That's all it takes. Trinidadians too foolish, too stupid, too lazy, too coward. Today when I go in to stand up in Wildflower Park, everybody sending me prayers and rosary and all kind of thing. Listen, there's monster dead in this country, you know. And everything I stand up for, I think that's a mountain I could die on. I want to live long, long life. My people live long. My father's 80 and going well. But I'm not afraid nobody. I don't realize that yet. When people are opposed on stage with spear, walk up to them with a spear and say they run now. I ain't afraid nobody. It's easy to talk shit for small people and media. It's easy to talk shit for them. You see, to stand up to the real problems in Trinidad and Tobago that take belly, balls, and backbone. But the name of this video, we will come back to the bread and circuses because we can really come back to that. Now, I'm not saying to anybody here, I'm not saying that I don't welcome it. I welcome all of it. But I want to tell people, and I want to say this clear, don't read it wrong. Don't come back and tell me about smaller parties after joining up. The UNC is a small party. The PNM is a small party. That is 20 thieves owned by the contract mafia and the rest are poor black people getting chained up to vote with them. to vote for them. The UNC have people chain up thinking if you're Indian, vote UNC because PNM coming to what? Take away your life, your job, your work, whatever the latest lie is. And I am going to tell Trinidad and Tobago tonight, after that stunt in Hyatt, at some point, the UNC financiers will be exposed as having paid for everything that went on in Hyatt today. Duke and the PDP don't have them kind of financiers, not even after the win in Tobago. They don't have that kind of money. That $500,000 today stunt in the Hyatt, that is UNC money. And I'm smelling their financiers in that. And I understand the UNC knows it cannot win. Nobody's going into any coalition with them. So what they're going and do is throw down PNM in PNM constituencies. And that's an obvious play, and people seeing it coming from a mile away. You think Watson Duke, as foolish as he is, so stupid to go and promise people bread? You had a $500,000 launch today. You could have taken that money and spread that out to all the people. You say it's poor people time. Share that money out. Who needed that stunt? Who needed chicken breast instead of chicken back when people want food in the house? Who needed Hyatt cooking? All they want to take fools for granted. But anyway, we'll come back at that. Blight, make it into a press release. The word blight, Rohan Sinanan would be the biggest jackass in this government if Simon Dinobriga wasn't in the government. But between the two of them, they're going to continue to fight for the position of biggest jackass in that party, you know. The word blight, make it in a press release about the Macoya intersection. Is it blight? No. Trinidad blight. Kobo shit on me. Every time we vote for the PNM, God to say, oh God, boy, I get so much chance, boy. You ever heard the joke about the priest who ended up on, he was in his church and the flood water was rising and the children passed on a raft, the flood reached inside the church. They said, Father, come with me, we're going to higher ground. He said, my Lord will save me. And the flood waters rise and Father end up on top of the pew. And he's standing up on the pew and some people pass in a boat and they say, Father, jump in. We go in. He said, no, my God will save me. And the water rise again and he end up on top of the steeple holding on to the cross. The Coast Guard come and they drop a ladder for him. He said, Father, grab that. We saving you. He said, my God will save me. The water rise and Father drown. And reach up in heaven by the pearly gates. And St. Peter said, welcome. You've lived a good life. Come in. He said, nah. I ain't coming in. Call God. What? Nobody ever do that before by the gate. So St. Peter dialed the extension. And Father here by the gate, want God. Yeah, he's a priest. So God came. And the priest said to God, God asked, what's the problem? And the priest said to God, you said, if I believed in you and gave my life for you, to you, you would save me. And I end up drowning. And you didn't come and save me. And I wait for you. God said, I sent a raft, a boat, and a helicopter for you, and you still drown. And that's Trinidad. That's Trinidad. We're looking for God in robes with flowing blonde hair and blue eyes that come and say, come child, stop voting PNM. Stop voting UNC. You're voting yourself misery. You're voting yourself people thieving out the treasury. You're voting the banks running rampant in the country. You're voting for the drug traffickers to get away with impunity. Karen Nunes-Tesheira told y'all she was a finance minister. I don't care about Karen Nunes-Tesheira and Clico. Karen Nunes-Tesheira could have made a love child with Manning. It doesn't matter. The information that she's giving you is important. Slap yourself sober and pay attention. The information is important. The Fatas Brigade in the PNM, the Women's League, put out a note saying that Karen Nunes-Tesheira was unimpressive as the minister. But it's Manning that appoint her. All you just wait till somebody walk away from you to bad talk, then that is all in the PNM hierarchy. No, stinking, dirty nastiness. That's all they threaten people with. Coming and going, they're going to assassinate their character and destroy their name. Karen Nunes-Tesheira is a successful woman. You can pull out millions of dollars on Clico. You don't need the approval of the Fat Ass Brigade. You have a good life. You don't need them. And they say that Karen is going in some other party. If you listen to Karen Nunes-Tesheira in that video, she throw the PNM and the UNC under a bus. She named other people who now have to decide how they're clearing their names in some of the allegations. A former third highest ranking member of the government, Minister of Finance, comes after Prime Minister, Attorney General, Minister of Finance. If you don't believe me, without a money bill, the government collapses. Read the Constitution, clear. All the other ministers, national security, everybody else lines up after the Minister of Finance. So Karen Nunes-Tesheira, at one point in time, was the third most powerful person in the cabinet after the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. And she knew. And she said, now I have questions for Karen. And it have nothing to do with Karen and whether she, as minister, benefited from inside information. You trying to tell me you don't know when FCB shares and unit trust and all this shit. When Clico, when they bail out Clico, you know how many ghost accounts get settled early? You know how much people with connections to members of parliament and ministers thief out money from Clico? You're talking about Karen Nunes-Tesheira and her money. Rightly so, she's the Minister of Finance, and it's like when people come in your house and you have dinner and you're serving them, you don't eat first, you let people eat, and if food run out, it's you eating the KFC and the Royal Castle. But we don't know it so. We don't know it so. When Winston Dukaran was the political leader of the Congress of the People, I went to a party, the only Christmas party I ever went to. And I went to the Christmas party, and the hierarchy of the party lined up and put their food out and went and eat before the rest of the members that put the party, to give the party value. I thought to myself, you know, form is temporary, but class is permanent. These people will never understand it. Karen Nunes-Tesheira, by the highest standards that we set for others, not for ourselves, should have waited. She should have waited. She should not have bailed out herself first. If that is the truth, I don't have the truth. In this country where if a judgment come down from the courts, it is a win, I'm not sure it's the truth. And there's a difference. It's Trinidad and Tobago. Here we don't deal in truth. Here we don't even deal in justice. We don't even deal in right and wrong. We deal in who can win. And whoever win. That's Trinidad. You have a jackass for a prime minister, he win. And I'm saying that. Respect the prime minister because he is prime minister. That seems to be, it's like that post is Beaks. When we were small, we used to play catch. If you reach Beaks, he can't catch you. So you can't call the man a jackass even though he's a jackass because he's the prime minister. Come now, man. Come now, man. We're trying to tell me. Look at Trinidad and Tobago. Look at it through clear eyes. Don't tell me that you don't realize that it is the two of them, the PNM and the UNC. And Karen Nunes-Tesheira admitted that. That when the powers, when the deep pocket corrupt narco businessmen, the narco traffickers, couldn't get their way with Manning for some reason. For some reason, Manning changed 180 degrees. For some reason that I don't know, Manning, who was put in power by those narco traffickers, because that's who financing them, for some reason, Manning and them fall out. And for some reason, Manning ordered OPVs and a 360-degree radar and blimps. And for some reason, Manning was making narcotics trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago difficult. It's Patrick Manning that was responsible for the establishment of the file that is probably still in the Minister of National Security's office for the maritime security wall that would end the drug trade. It was commissioned under Patrick Manning. So I know that it is there, and I know that for some reason, Patrick Manning fall out with the drug traffickers. And for some reason, key members of Parliament of the PNM went to some small Caribbean island to meet with members of the UNC to plot to overthrow the government. To overthrow the government through a vote of no confidence. That certain members of the PNM was going to vote with newly crowned head of the UNC, Kamla Prasad-Bisesa. And that's what was coming. That's why there was a snap election in 2010. Because Manning had just won in 2007. And there was a snap election in 2010 because Manning was trying to head them off at the pass. And he lost because all of them gang up on him. All of them. Trinidad's first black Syrian is now the Prime Minister. Keith Rowley has to answer to the claims Karen Nunes-Tesheira has made, but Kamla Persad-Bissessar has too as well. Because according to Karen Nunes-Tesheira's claims, the cancellation, the shutdown of SORT, the cancellation of the OPVs and the decommissioning of the 360-degree radar was at the behest of people who didn't want this country's borders closed. Kamla Persad-Bissessar has to answer that. And she had 5 ministers of national security that I could remember. All of them going to have something to say. Now, I know Gary Griffith, he's going to jump out and say something soon, because he was also a commissioner of police, and now he's the leader of a political party. So he can't leave that on him. But Kamla has to answer, is there any truth to the fact that your government, shut down SORT, cancel the OPVs, decommission the radars so that drugs could flow? Because that is the allegation in the statement. Now, if Patrick Manning as Prime Minister could have told his Minister of Finance, you don't know the size of the businessmen that in this drug trade, you know. Let me tell you, I want to know, how shitty is our Ministry of Finance? How incompetent is our Ministry of Finance? How silly is our central bank? If hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of drug money could pass through our economy and it not show up as impacting our national economy, how incompetent has our central bank governors been? And how weak and useless the Financial Intelligence Unit, how weak and useless that organization. Karen Nunes-Tesheira said, and I want to thank her for putting in the public space all of this information and giving legitimacy to the things that I have been saying for over a decade, that the reason Trinidad and Tobago must never, at no time ever, consider the CCJ as our final court is the same reason Karen Nunes-Tesheira didn't want a Trinbagonian to head the Financial Intelligence Unit. Why? Because it is too easy to corrupt citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of what robe they wear, what oath they take, or the texture of what drawers they farting through. And that's our reality. It's been our reality, and it's our truth. $3 trillion have passed through this country, and God didn't take it. Like the tree that fall down. The tree, a massive tree. It's so tall, 757 meters tall, have fungus. It's big, it's fat, it's tall. And it's so big, it throw down a wire. In this country, nobody take a picture. A tree that big fall down. The amount of work to clean up that tree, the amount of work to fix that cable, not one person working TNTech or horticulture or whoever they call to move the tree, snap a picture or a selfie saying, look what we fixing, this is why the country have a blackout. Not one. I have video of the man burning in Debe. As get everything as it happened. As get it before Ian Allen. The only reason you don't see me putting out videos about this one just get shoot here and that one just get killed here, as get it from people who are first responders on the site. Everybody sends me everything. I have every single thing. When they do it, when they make a mistake. It is why I was able to put out a release today that rubbished what the Minister of Energy, Public Utilities put out. And I'm going to read that for you just now. But I want to say to Trinidad and Tobago, when they say that it's a tree that fall and throw down the line, why we don't have a picture of the tree? Why it took 2 months, 5 people to walk around this tree? Okay, so let me get it straight. This is the tree, and it fall, it bust that line. Yeah? Right. Cool. Write that down. Tree fall. You measure that tree. Tree fall, bust line. Cool. Item 1. We waited on the measurement, but we have one of our committee. Our committee is measuring that. We have that. Right. Was 2. Well, when that trip, the load on all the other systems, because it's not isolated or insulated, it tripped everybody. Okay? This tripped everybody else, island-wide blackout. Was 3. Well, when it was time, when we fixed it back, because it fixed back in 15 minutes, but when we fixed it back and we went to start it, we couldn't start it. Why? Because the piece of equipment that does the startup was not maintained. And in December 2021, there was a meeting in the Ministry of Energy, in Public Utilities and the board, and PowerGen asked for money to maintain a certain piece of equipment. And it is either they pay it and they never fix it, or it was never paid, and I'm waiting on that piece of information. But I want to tell you something. I get every single thing. So when I come to you and I tell you this is the reality of Trinidad and Tobago, trust me, it is the reality of Trinidad and Tobago. And what I don't understand is, after they dragged poor Justice Scott's name through the mud, because they had to discredit Justice Scott to discredit the Scott drug report. And that Scott drug report in the 80s was a critical piece of information. And if I could go back in time to one thing, I'd go back in time to then. To Adela Moses. To the people who were responsible then for the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago, whose names were known to national security, the police service, the central bank, and to the Drug Enforcement Agency of the United States of America. And I go back to then. And I make sure that Justice Scott's commission report was laid in the parliament and let the chips fall where they may. Look, they just lock up the Prime Minister of the British Virgin Islands for drug trafficking. They lock up a Prime Minister. He's a sitting Prime Minister. He was arrested. We need to let the chips fall where they may, but we didn't. We covered for them. People take all kind of bribe and pay off in this country and give you all kind of reason why twice. There was a Robert Sabga or Michael Sabga or Richard Sabga or Peter Sabga. One of the apostles, Sabga, was charged with the responsibility under Pandey 25 years ago to go and check and see what's going on in the homes. He said the things that was going on in the homes were so bad. Them children was getting raped so bad, we couldn't put it in the report, so we didn't. Jackass. That person was a total utilitarian jackass. That's a jackass coming and going. You telling me that the things that's so bad, it can't make the report that you dare to account for? Jackass. The Commission of Inquiry, Justice Scott, unblemished career as a jurist. His Commission of Inquiry that had everything down to Naya putting people in cages by the food stall in Sour who come for cocaine. Down to that, down to Claude Store's name. Listen, the drug report is online. And I want to understand, if you found a reason to not use that drug report, why didn't you immediately after commission another one? Between that drug report and this time now, what Karen Nunes-Tesheira talking now, this country has intercepted hundreds of millions of dollars of drugs, has had intercepted hundreds of millions of dollars in drugs in Norfolk, Virginia, in Canada. Faris Al-Rawi stood up in the parliament, and I kid you not, told this nation that a company that don't exist shipped the cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia. And when I heard that, I thought to myself, well, boy, we reach. This is after 9/11. You can't ship a hairpin into America without them knowing every single thing about the shipper. But we get companies that don't exist to ship to companies that don't exist as the receiver, and I believe that. I believe that. We're that incompetent as a country. What I don't understand is, why have we never, after the 600 million bus on Monas, after La Tinta, after Cambodia, after the Vietnam, after the $1 billion in coke that from the yacht that get outfitted in Chaguaramas that get caught going to Spain, after all of those things, it didn't cross anybody's mind to have another commission of inquiry into the drug trade. Not Manning, not Pandey, not Kamala, not Rowley. None of them thought to have a commission of inquiry into corruption in this country. Not one of them, knowing this country is so corrupt. Kit Rowley built his prime ministerialship on saying not only the UNC corrupt, the PNM that he was a part of corrupt. Kit Rowley said the PNM was so corrupt, it was 10 times more corrupt than the UNC. And the fat-ass brigade of the PNM didn't come out and say anything about Rowley. They endorsed him for Prime Minister. That Patrick Manning was corrupt. That's what Kit Rowley said. That Patrick Manning knew that there was bid rigging in Udicott that was 10 times worse than the $1 billion that they were investigating in Piarco. And he said, I went to the Prime Minister in August 2003 and told him that there was massive bid rigging taking place in Unicott that was 10 times worse than what took place in Piaco. The only problem with Rowley and his integrity is he told the nation that in 2009, 6 years after, 6 years of cabinet food and cabinet wine and cabinet salaries, Sharon and the girl children and the outside boy children eating off cabinet taxpayer money. It was okay for him to sit and draw salary without telling nobody other than the Prime Minister. He told the Prime Minister, but he didn't tell the media. He didn't tell anybody in the country as long as the gravy train was running. As long as Rowley and his family was eating, he didn't have a duty to tell anybody. So all of the PNM Neanderthal knuckle draggers who want to come and tell me about Karen Nunes-Tesheira, should I tell somebody? How come Rowley didn't tell anybody in the world that Patrick Manning was the most corrupt Prime Minister we ever had? Because that's what Rowley said in 2009. But for 6 years, Rowley sat down there mute, dumb, silent, and draw salary. Like the 6 months, what it is with the number 6 and this man? Like the 6 months, he stayed quiet with the knowledge that Emailgate existed. He went and handed it to Max and tell him, Max Richards, he said, look at this. It is damning. I got this in my, what do you got it in his mailbox or an email? Faris say he got it in his mailbox. He trusts the man who put it there. Rowley say he got it as an email. That's why it's .com and .com. We don't know which of the lies is the true. And it doesn't matter. Because Rowley is a liar, a double-tongued deceiver. He's a Decepticon. If the man tell you rain going to fall tomorrow, the only thing you don't need is your umbrella. Rowley is a liar. A very accomplished liar. He lied his incompetent ass all the way into the Prime Minister's chair. And for 6 months, told Denise Wren nothing, that people was gunning for her. But give it to Max, who are the only person in the country that had no power to act on it. And when Max acted on it, he said, take it back. And he took it to somebody else. Who he took it to? The Chief Justice, the DPP, the Commissioner of Police. Who he took it to? He took it to the head of the Integrity Commission, somebody who have even less power than Max, and want us to believe him. But to the fat-ass brigade of the PNM's Women League, those inconsistencies don't matter. As long as you're still bleeding Balizé juice, it doesn't matter what you do. You could plunder cathedrals, rape nuns, it doesn't matter. But if you leave the PNM and speak out on the PNM, you're going to have a problem with that fat-ass brigade. So again, I tell Trinidad and Tobago, unless you are a cult member, Balizé juice drinking fool, anything that comes out on a release by the PNM's Women's League, please throw it in the waste paper basket. Don't print it out. Delete it if you get it as a text or WhatsApp. Karen Nunes-Tesheira just did this country a massive service, and I applaud her. Now, nobody is one thing. People make mistakes. People do wrong. They do right. They go on to do wrong again. That is the reality of humanity. I want to focus on the message, not the messenger. I want to say if the third most powerful cabinet minister under Patrick Manning released that information, then Mariano Brown have to know as well. And I want Mariano Brown to tell this nation, A, Karen Nunes-Tesheira is an absolute out-and-out liar. B, you have this information but you're not sharing it. Or C, is the truth. Mariano Brown, over to you. I know you have clothes and shoes for the media circuit. You should be riding this one, brother. Ride it hard. That's our reality. But I started off by telling you, the word blight made it into a public release from the Ministry of Transport to tell people that it is not a blight at McCoy, it is a blight. The blight name is Rohan Sinanan. And the blight, yesterday, I had to tell the jackass in a video, because I went down to the end of the highway in South, to where the road ends, and I had to tell people, even though they have so many stupid people in this country that want to kick up the man burnt body and blame him for living, blame him for driving, he may have been driving too fast, not the fact that our highway ends at concrete. Now I was in a car heading to DB for one of the elections. I was driving for the elections, just when the by-election in DB, and I was heading there, and the person in the car with me said, hey, it's road ending, you know. So what are you telling me? I slowed down right away. I slowed down in enough time that I didn't hit those barriers. It is so stupid. Now let me tell you what should be done. And I used the word rumble strips and humps yesterday. Today, Rohan Sinanan going and put rumble strips in Macoya. So he went and he Googled it. He said, shit, this exists. I'm going to put this here. And I applaud, and I'm going to read that too. That is 2 things you'll have to get from me. The report on Tech, my report, and Rohan Sinanan in Macoya. But the people of San Fernando, who for 7 years, people who are going to San Fernando, many of the people who died there, forget or didn't know that the highway ends. It's like, it is as stupid as driving down the freeway and crashing into a KFC or a McDonald's, because you're not expecting that in the middle of the highway. You're not expecting the highway to end. You're not expecting the jackass of the Minister of Transport to put up 9 signs saying reduce speed, road ending, reduce speed, road ending, and then don't cut the bush that hide the signs. So the people not seeing the signs, but the signs there. And that is the stupidity of it. And that is why the government is guilty of murdering this man who crashed into those New Jersey barriers. Because, and I was happy to see Dr. Ray Furlong comment on my post that I put out. He said, absolutely correct, Philip. And as he is the most knowledgeable person in road and traffic management in the Caribbean, then I know I am on the right track. What should be done tomorrow is the 2 lanes that are heading south from about 1 kilometer in front have to slowly but surely be reduced to 1. White lines like a bitch on the right lane, just bringing everybody there. And those New Jersey barriers that you have down there by the roundabout, repurpose them at an angle from the last set of traffic lights up on top. As people get the green, they filter in. Filter. Google that one, Rohan, because you Google rumble strips and you Google humps, because I spelled it for you yesterday in the video. So Google filter. What you want them to do from the traffic light up on the top is filter into 1 lane. Now everybody gonna know that if I am 1 lane, this is no longer a highway. I will slow my R's down. I won't be driving as if I'm on a highway, because I'm no longer on a highway. I am on 1 lane of road. So I'll slow my R's down. And I would put intermittent rumble strips. It's not expensive. What the hell going on with this road? Oh, look, the road end. Thank you, God. Thank you, Rohan. Thanks for the... I've read jackasses say, if you're doing 100 kilometers per hour and you hit rumble strips, what do you think will happen to the car? Do you think it will ramp off and take up to the sky? I told you to Google it and you'll see what it is. All it does is give a vibration in the car and a sound, so that you will know that this is not smooth road that you could drive at 100 kilometers per hour. And that's all it was about. That's all you were supposed to do. And if you had done your job, you incompetent shelf packer, you would not, this man would be alive today. Plenty people are going to die because of the incompetence of this government before there is an election. We have no cable barriers. I did an entire video driving down to Paria to deal with the deaths of the people who was then stuck in the pipes. I was driving to Paria and filming and showing Trinidad to be able to cable barriers. But PNM people, as long as it's not them and their family that dead in, well, let them eat dirt. That's the problem. And the problem in Trinidad and Tobago is that we don't care about each other. We don't. We care about ourselves. And because we care about ourselves, the people who are not black and Indian, surprisingly, ironically, convince you that most importantly, politically, your race is what matters. And you've bought that shit. And you've bought that shit and you've worn that shit like a badge of honor for the 59 years of dysfunctional incompetence that is the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Forget the looting and the narco trade. Forget that. Everybody sees Trinidad and Tobago as something to mount and molest. The banks, the international construction companies, the supply companies, but it's over. We've been looted. There's nothing left. Colm don't know what to write the next budget on. He's trying to take all whatever you have left, save up. He's going to pass a penny in the kitchen on the kitchen counter tax just now, because you shouldn't have those pennies, because the government needed, because the government facilitated a complete thief out of the country. And there's nothing left. There's no income. We have zero income. Our 60,000 barrels of oil that we sell is not enough to cover the price of the fuel that we import. So now the jackass is talking about how much cars people drive in, why we don't carpool. They didn't talk that before. But now that the country is ruined and the economy done. Because Sabga don't want to hear that, and Ahama don't want to hear that, them living selling car. Sabga have about 9 car company. So how he feel when Rowley and them telling people, oh, you have too much car? How they feel it? Everybody piled up in one car. This country have 1.4 million people and 1.2 million car. And the car company is happy for that. And the reason they're trying to talk about how much cars we have now is because our 60,000 barrels of oil a day cannot pay the bill, just to import fuel. So they've taken off the subsidy. The last thing that the Trinidadians were benefiting from these incompetent charlatans and shithounds in government. Because the value of our money is toilet paper. If you actually in America right now, Google the price of a roll of toilet paper and you'll see that you could get more toilet paper with $1 than you could get that Trinidad dollars. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, our money is useless. It's worse than monopoly. And they want to give you bread and circuses. Now, today's May Day. I have some housekeeping to do. What is the time? 9:44. This is important. The pensioners in Trinidad and Tobago who are having difficulty with the National Insurance Board, reach out, come to 14 to 17. We want you to come to 14 to 17 Victoria Square, Park Street, Victoria Square. That is where Victoria Foods Grab and Go is, but more importantly, that's where Felicia Holder and her team are. I want you to come there in person, present yourself in person with a national identification card. Either your ID card, well, national identification, either your ID card or your passport. A driver's permit, unfortunately, is not a national ID. So we want you to bring one of the 2 IDs that we could verify your existence to the National Insurance Board. Why we want you to do that? We want you to present yourself in person so that we could open a file for you and create, that we could ascertain that you are who you say you are. Because if you're having any difficulty at all with the National Insurance Board, the Progressive Empowerment Party is going to intervene for you and every other pensioner having difficulty with the National Insurance Board. We are going to intervene for you free, at no charge to you. You don't have to join. Just come. We're going to stand in the gap for you. We're going to make sure that you get your pensions. And anybody who has pension due and owing and they've not started paying you your pension yet and months have passed, I want you to know that you're entitled to the backlog. You're entitled to all of it from the day the pension became due and owing to you. And once you give us the information, once we create that file on you, you'll never have to come into us again. And the only time you'll ever have to come out your house again is when you're going to National Insurance Board for the first time to sign whatever documents they're going to need you to sign. But we want to get all our pensioners their money. I don't care if Colin Imbert had to sell his car, he bought his house. I don't care. I don't care, brother. Trust me. Anybody that I could get in the gap for, anybody that I could stand against this disease government for, I'm more than willing. And to the pensioners, those of you who they're saying that they're going to change the pension age from 60 to 65, we are working to take the government to court and stop that. If you had a contract, if you paid your money and you entitled it, I don't care what they have to sell. Go and sell the Rowley house in Tobago. Go and sell Inez Gate apartments. It doesn't matter to me. Sell what you need to sell. Pay the people the money. You're owing the pensioners, pay the pensioners. Not your PNM pensioners who never make a contribution. Not that. I talk about the national insurance pensioners. Those people who put money into that system for all of their working lives that are entitled to their pensions now, you will pay them. I promise you, you will pay them. And even if you monkey the system in Trinidad, I don't care if we have to reach the Privy Council, you're going and pay these people. To the pensioners in Trinidad and Tobago, if you're having difficulty collecting your pension, if they've given you any kind of runaround at all, if you believe they're making an ass of you, sending you for this and sending you for that, come to 14 to 17 Victoria Square, Park Street, and just register with us. It is a simple form. We need a copy of your ID, your name, and your phone number, so we could contact you, and maybe another person, an emergency contact in case we can't reach you, because we want to advocate on behalf of all of the pensioners in this country. We want to make sure that you're taken care of. right? And I think that's it for tonight's. I mean, I want to thank the people who showed up today in Wildflower Park to make the point. We're not stopping. I want them to know you have 18 signs. Double it tomorrow. Go and put 36 signs. Bring Hawk Security head office. Build it in Wildflower Park. We're not stopping. We're not stopping until a court gives an order telling you remove your camera pole, telling you remove Hawk Security, telling you remove anything that is not the property of Trinidad and Tobago. If you put lights in that park and it is not the property of Trinidad and Tobago, take it out. If you put sprinklers in that park and it is not the property of Trinidad and Tobago, take it out. We're not going to stop until the persons in charge of allowing this madness to take place are named and shamed. I love the fact that they're using my term now, because we will name and shame them, and we want them fired, and we want the people who appointed them fired, because Wildflower Park was almost stolen from the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we've intervened, and we are not going to stop until it is clear to all and sundry that Wildflower Park belongs to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Moving forward from here, and again, I'd like to thank everybody who were there with us today, giving us support, especially people like Slim. And I know he didn't have to come out his house for that. Him coming out gave me a lot of support, because I knew then that it was reaching across the board. And to the people who were in the park yesterday and the people who were in the park today, again, pictures, people sending me messages, and feel free. I'm coming to put a sign in the park with my number. If Hawk Security or anybody tells you that you cannot use that park, call me, 682-2110. Spread that wild. I want people to stand up outside the park. Don't leave. If they put you out of the park, stand up on the pavement and take a picture, take a video, send it to me. We're not going to stop. I will come there if I free at that moment. I come in to make sure you get in to use the park. We're not stopping. We're going to make sure that piece of bullshit done. I apologize to the people of Caranage. I apologize to the people of Cocorite. I apologize to all the poor people who Shagville was your recreation, your space of leisure. I apologize to you that I wasn't as political when it was stolen from you under the UNC and the PNM to make it a water park. What should be still the property of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But I hope when I get into office, because Eric Williams was able to march and take Chaguaramas back from the mighty United States of America, so I think I could take it back from the 1%. I would like to sit down in the bulldozer that bulldozes Five Islands Amusement Park and gives the beach back to the people, and sign a document making it part of a national park service that nobody could ever give away Shagville, Shakakabana, or whatever you all call it, whatever the name was. I'm making sure that you all never, ever could lose that again. I apologize that I wasn't political enough then. I apologize that I was believing people. I apologize that I was a neophyte. I apologize that I took people on face value. Plenty people that I know today who are demons, sinister, shit-hung charlatans. And that's why I speak so angrily. And that's why I speak so clear. My name something Davis, a PNM troll. Come on, one of my threads today. The thread about the guy who died in DB. Say, I like to call people names. What have you done? And I listed for him 28 years as an activist, the massive national things that I accomplished. And people just reaming him out. And he's trying to defend. He's trying to defend because as the PNM way, attack the messenger. Brother, they don't have a single PNM minister, not a single member of parliament that has my track record. I look forward to debate them. I know they have little newbie politicians who used to sell cloth and clothes, who went online and get a little degree and want to quote from the degree and quote from the book that you're reading and pretend that you can hold up your online degree against my life of experience and work and my 28 years of activism and success. I have saved this country millions of man hours and billions of dollars in the Four Roads bypass alone. I've saved lives with that dangerous dog act. I've saved lives because pit bulls was destroying lives in this country. And go back and research and you'll see that it is from the moment that that law was proclaimed, Or I was watching people advertise dogs that had killed pedigree, and they was naming on social media who the dogs killed, to say that's a reason to buy one. That ended. The Children's Authority and the Children's Act was a languishing bill in the Parliament. And when we put 50,000 people on the street for the Akil Chambers Justice for Children March every year, we forced the government. We sent them in the Parliament to declare it. And when they declared it and they thought that was enough and they didn't set up the Children's Authority, next year we brought out a bigger crowd and they had to set up the Children's Authority. And I did those kinds of things. So don't feel you're coming to hold up your little book that you're copying and pasting from, but I'm waiting for y'all, you know. Now that all in the Gael, now that the bread and circuses crew arrived, I'm waiting for all in the Gael. I asked TV6 today, I said, listen, now that we have a full slate, PNM, UNC, PDP, NTA, and the Progressive Empowerment Party, it is time for debates and it is time for continuous polling. You see, what we need is a test of the pulse. All of us, all the political leaders need to know what the people think. And I asked TV6 today, use Richard Henry, Richard is the name, use Henry, use NACTA, commission both of those polls. Now all of these parties, when they win the poll good. When they lose the poll is shit. Nazar. But use both of them, use any polls that you could. What I want to know is of all the political leaders, who the people trust the most to clean up this country, to fix things, to end the corruption, to end the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago. Because the only person still talking about those things is me. The only person who have the belly, balls, and backbone to bring the real facts of what's wrong in Trinidad and Tobago is me. This idea of trickle-down economics that Rowley want to sell you is bullshit. Trinidad needs to be run by a government, by a prime minister who understands that you can't continue to judge how well the country doing by how well the wealthy doing. We have to make sure, and that is the purpose of a government. If this wasn't the purpose of a government, you wouldn't need a government. Just let the rich get richer, and whoever fall off their table, let the poor eat. The government's job is to level the playing field and balance the scales, and make sure that everybody have an opportunity. Again, you're going to hear this word, pepper mash. You're going to hear them say it all of a sudden. UNC going to start to say it, and PNM going to start to say it, because as somebody say, once you bring an issue into the public, Phillip, it becomes a national issue, and then those two political parties, and now the other two, going to start to grab onto them and make them their issues too. No problem. A barrel of pepper mash is $2,500. A barrel of oil is $120. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that Trinidad should be growing pepper and making pepper mash for export. Pepper mash is used for many things, but mostly for pepper spray. And pepper spray is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Trinidad can be dominating in that. Remember, I am the one that told you rumble strips, and I am the one who told you pepper mash. And I want you to remember these things, because I want polls, but more importantly, more importantly, I want debates. I want debates. And I want a debate for the political leaders. I want a debate for deputy political leaders. I want a debate for chairmen. You see, in the Progressive Empowerment Party, while they want to tell us a one-man show, it's plenty one-mans. And some of them, most of them are actually one-womans. That's strong, bright, capable. And it's time the public saw that there are real options, and it's not just about identity politics, and if I black vote black, and if I Indian vote Indian, and all this bullshit. But you know what warms my heart? That I'm not seeing no more of the UNC on my thread, or any of the important threads saying they go and blame Kamala for this, or the PNM calling Kamala name. Because the PNM realizing that the UNC is irrelevant. The UNC is realizing, the public know they're irrelevant. But more importantly, both of them realizing the country wants nothing to do with either one of them. So while they're going to try and frame everything, you see, like spy versus spy. You see how spy versus spy, as massive an issue as that was, all the front page it get, it then become a big enough issue like Wildflower Park or like Paria or like any of the other issues I champion. They do not have the moral authority to talk to you. We need to deal with these issues. We need to deal with drug trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to deal with corruption. We need to deal with the fact that 128,500 people signed a petition asking the government and the opposition for certain things in the name of Andrea Barrett and all of the women who have died. And these stunt artists haven't even responded to you or that petition, but it's not a problem. Because at some point, they are going to create the environment where hundreds of thousands of people are going to be out in the street calling for change. And I want to tell you something. They're not going to be calling for bread and circuses. They're going to be calling for real leadership. Government that delivers. People who understand how the country run, how we got to here, and what is required to fix it. And the only way that you, the masses, will know between Phillip, Gary, Duke, Kamala, and Rowley is by debates. Let's have debates. They could make money and probably balance the budget. If you put the 5 of us on stage for a 3-hour debate, the amount of money, if that's pay-per-view, man, you will make millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And you could balance the budget with that. But put a debate, and in order that debates have to be run, 5 microphones. And let the public ask the questions. And once the mediators, moderators, let it forward, all 5 people have to answer the question in different random order, so nobody gets to be last all the time and hear everybody else answer and copy it. In different random order, everybody else gets to be first, everybody else gets to be last. Your mic is on for 2 minutes, exactly 2 minutes timed. At 2 minutes and 0001, it cuts off. So even if you're talking to yourself. And that's clear, proper, democratic debate, and let the public ask questions. And every question asked, regardless of the question, all 5 panelists must answer. Do that. Do those debates so we could see. Secondly, and more importantly, poll. Let the public know who the people support. Because it's important as we all start to line up and get in reception. Because I want to tell you, anybody, and I had to say, because I went to an event yesterday, and I had to say that we will work with anybody who are on the same page with us, who believe in the same things that we believe, who share common ideologies, who believe that no child should be left behind, that our education system should work, our public health system should be among the best in the world, that our budget should balance, that corruption should be akin to treason, and those who are guilty of corruption should be sentenced to death if the death penalty is our maximum punishment. Sentence them to death for stealing the public funds, because corruption and the drug trade in Trinidad and Tobago is responsible for all the murder, all the crime that's affecting this bright, beautiful, blessed country. Without the PNM and UNC fronted contract mafia, Trinidad is the best place in the world to live. And if you want a better country, and if you want to fix it and make something that your children could be happy to live in, then please come on board, sign up, peptt.com/join is the simplest, cheapest, freest, easiest thing to do. It's been for the longest while. Join up with us, because at some point, all of us have to sit down and talk and make a decision about what is right and best going forward. This is not about stunts. You're not going to see me on stage with spear, gun, shak, none of those things. We don't have no stunts. We don't have no kicks and no drama. All we have is real results. Every time you hear me speak, every time you encounter me on social media, on any of the media threads, or out on the field working, you know is real results taking place. NAMDEFCO reached out to the Caroni ex-workers for the first time since I walked with them. And now they're stalling again. I'm going to walk with them again. The Sugrim Trace farmers, I was told that they're selling out their own farms because they get a piece of money in front. What am I do? Can't stop what they consider progress. But the whole world is talking about the recession that's coming and the food shortages that come in. And we still not talking farming, and we still not talking growing food. But we go eat with shoe, we go eat with dog and with cat, and then we go pretend to bitch and moan then and talk about why nobody didn't do anything. We've been talking about it. Until tomorrow. Until tomorrow. Stay safe.
Your vote will decide
Just as how you vote them in.
Vote them out. Register and vote them out. If agency, vote them out. State your figure and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out with total skull and out of the state. Let's put our country together again. Vote them out of power to relate their way. Let's put our country together again.
I promised to read something to you all and somebody reminded me, so this is it. Please don't blame God. Saying the 12-hour blackout was an act of God is an abdication of responsibility to tell the truth. 2 months of inquiry and this is the best you could do? While it is possible for a tree to trip one zone of transmission and that trip compounds and pull all the others down. The real problem was a lack of leadership, lack of a clear response plan, lack of internal and external communications, and the failure of the Black Star to get the whole thing going again. Lack of maintenance on the Black Start 66 kVA generator reduced it to barely putting out 6 kVA, or for this purpose, nothing at all. The neophyte communications minister demonstrated his incapacity for the position as he again failed at the one job he has, to adequately inform and keep the people informed. 10 of the 12 hours was spent trying to get the system started again. And because of the failure to maintain essential equipment, heads at the highest level should roll, especially when one takes into account that PowerGen had a meeting in December 2021 where requests were made for funds to fix the Black Start in Point Lisas. Those responsible for failing to act on the December 2021 report should be fired, as should the hapless Minister of Communications who, by his constant failures in time of national crisis, only seems to make things worse. The entire report is a sham, an attempt to hide the truth, and this Minister of Public Utilities should be ashamed for trying to pull this over on the public. We know exactly what went wrong on that day and all who are to blame. So please don't try to hoodwink this population blaming God. We want the truth, and we want those responsible fired. Somebody also told me that Marvin Gonzalez himself was in the control room dictating which communities were supposed to get current back first. If that is at all true, brother, you, minister, should be fired for interfering with things you have no idea about. Under your watch, the country shut down twice, with that 12-hour blackout and with the bus pipe in Cocorate. Yeah? Somebody sent me this. I don't know if I can read this. Somebody, Roderick Williams, I appreciate what you sent me. I'm gonna communicate with you. We will get it into the public space. People telling me, somebody just tell me safeguard that cell phone that run in the country. That's funny. But it's funny, but it's true. And I want to tell you what the Progressive Empowerment Party is going to do. We're going to continue to work hard building our party, and we're going to work hard running the country, fixing things. We are going to work hard representing the voiceless. We're going to protect the children and the elders and those abused. We're going to get involved, and we are talking to lawyers to get involved in the issues surrounding people incarcerated in remand yard for years longer than they should be. That is a human rights catastrophe, and this is not something that needs to be dealt with case by case. The commissioner, the DPP, the president, the chief justice, they should form themselves into a committee and make a decision as to how best, and the commissioner of prison is supposed to be involved in that as well, and make a decision to streamline these people back into society. Because if the maximum penalty was 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they serve 5 and 10 years, not only do you have to let them go, you owe them compensation for the years that they were in there. This is important. My assistance number is 719-2888. Please don't call it unless it's an emergency. Use WhatsApp, use text message. I am tired of having to tell people, and they push past when they say, when I answer the phone, and they say, Mr. Alexander, I say yes. They say, I have a problem, or I need advice, or I have a situation. I said, let me stop you right there. Send it as a WhatsApp. Yeah, but I need to talk to you for 2. I said, no, that's not what the number is for. Send it as a WhatsApp. My number, 682-2110, is for emergencies. I gave it out to the world for emergencies. But in the meantime, and if you tell me, yeah, I did send you a WhatsApp, but you all ain't post nothing, it's for a reason. We either forward it to people to action, or we say that this is already being dealt with. If we can't communicate to you, it's because we literally swamped, trying to save lives and protect people from the madness and the insanity of the corrupt and incompetent parliament, government, cabinet, bullshit, hybrid nothingness that is supposed to be representing people, a $100 million construct that just fails you repeatedly. My assistance number is 719-2888. Write that down. Send the messages for assistance straight to that number because we're processing it there. 682-2110 is for emergencies. Please treat it like that. But more importantly, if you want to get notifications, if you notice tonight, I shared a live video on my WhatsApp from a different source rather than the public live page because we want to build multiple sources of locations from which we could go live in case they pull this one down or compromise that one. This is our channel of communication and we need to treat it. We need to make sure that we can reach you. We are creating more groups, more broadcast threads for people who want to be in the loop, get the information we're sharing, whether you're on Facebook or not. If you send me a WhatsApp to 682-2110 with just your name, we add you to the list. That's it. When we go in live, when we put out a post, we send that out as a broadcast. And it's thousands of people broken down 256 at a time. So you know how much work that alone is. So we don't take it for granted and abuse it. If you are not yet on that broadcast list and you're saying you're not getting notifications, send a WhatsApp to 682-2110 with only your name and we will add you. Let me say a big good night, special good night to Mr. Vernon de Lima. I always appreciate knowing that you are on the thread, sir, and I want Trinidad and Tobago to know that you don't miss a show or an opportunity to guide and advise us and to keep us on the straight and narrow. Vernon de Lima. Do you have your Citizens Union membership card? This is probably the most powerful card you're going to have in your wallet in times to come. This Citizens Union card guarantees you as a member of the Citizens Union access to me, access to us, access to the powerful representation body that the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago has become. It creates an opportunity for your businesses and any way you have to earn money. We can help you improve and increase by sharing your information among the membership and the growing rank membership of the Citizens Union. If you're not yet a member of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, please call, dial, WhatsApp 486-2888. You could visit citizensuniont.com/join and you could fill out information and they will call you, or you could send a WhatsApp to 719-2888 or to me at 682-2110 and I'll forward it to the right people. Maya J. Khan. Every now and then you will see Maya sharing information on threads. Maya is a foundation member of the Progressive Empowerment Party and she's been with us ever since. And during these lives, I want to acknowledge some of these people who have been here from the start, who have been working tirelessly to build this movement. Because now that we're big and we're huge, I want to acknowledge those like Denise Xavier and Anthony Sinanan, who I said we will remember at every step of the way.
If their policy
And your only hope
is for them to go. If it is fabrication, these statements that this power, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is a frustration, that's make you want to shout. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. Before they misuse out.
thief out, sell out, and digs out.
If they do, vote them in. Vote them out. Register and vote them out. All of them, vote them out. Stick your finger and vote them out. Devil resistant, vote them out. Vote them out in Scarborough and in Port Spain. Let's put our country together again. Vote them out in Congo and in Larobe. Let's put our country together again.
Somebody just messaged me. 1 tree, no power. Imagine what a hurricane will do to the index overhead knitting eyesores. Act of God, act of lack of foresight, planning, and maintenance. Well done on the Wildflower Park. You know what I want to do right now? I want to read some of these messages. Sorry, huh? Tonight, I got information on a fire in Blanchisseuse. I passed it on to Deputy Political Leader Lima McLeod Wilkinson, who is championing the issue of the fire service, the lack of equipment and stuff, and she is on it. And from what we understand, the fire was blazing in Blanchisseuse for over an hour. Right. Actually, you know what? It's 10:16.
People must come first. Citizens by right. None of we are worse. Yellow, black, or white. Who shelter and flood? Free movement and speech. A gun that grows.
And one law for each. If you know how important that one law for each is. And I said today to TV6, but I didn't make it to the interview. It was a long interview. I said that if the horticultural division has given somebody permission to erect private property in a public park, they must dictate, they must explain the terms and conditions so other people could have access to setting up other private structures in public parks. And that means parlors, cafes, shops, bars, mechanic yard, whatever, because anytime you breach the rule and make it possible for one person to have an advantage over others, that's why we have an Equal Opportunity Commission, and we're going to deal with this issue everywhere.
If it is that injustice is what they always show. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is that avarice is all they seem to know. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is their politics, it's just a puppy show. When elections day come, all bandits must go. Register and vote them out. If they don't see, stay
up, eh? But just first time in a long time, and I know plenty people sticking around. So we will just take some messages. Play some music. Sorry, I had promised Satish that we could take some calls. Tomorrow is a holiday, 682-2110. If you want to call in and have a little say, you could. We're going to be on for a little while longer and we'll take some calls, 682-2110. Just when you call, say where you're calling from and listen to me if we get any calls at all. Listen to me on the device that you're calling me on and not on the one that you're watching me on, because there's a delay and it causes a problem. So if we get any calls, I just saying, do it like that, right? Your food in the pot. 9 o'clock in the day. You can't see your way. Organized crime. Disorganized crime. Everywhere you turn. Crime and more crime. White collar crime. Blue collar crime. No collar crime. We're running out of time. How we do this? Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hey, Phillip.
Good evening.
You're doing what you say was going to do, and I like it. Right? But I have seen here plenty in South, man. Right? Come down clean outside, and let me tell these people what that government really should be.
You know you're saying that, and I was in South. I was in South yesterday. Nah, I was in South yesterday, and I plan to be in South more. So send me a WhatsApp. I want to help schedule days with you and times when I come in, so you'll know. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a nice position down here. I have the support, and you come down, and I'm talking to people, and I'm telling them we all the way. No more mustard, no more ketchup. All the way.
Thank you, my brother. But send me a WhatsApp because I want to forward it to Satish, because he is responsible for South, and we have a lot of people making like offices and things available to us, and I appreciate exactly what you just said. And I plan to be down South at least once a week. I plan to be as much as possible everywhere that I could be. So send me a...
I went up, I thought to see her, but what happened is I run early late, man.
Sorry about
and
that.
This year, but I was there, I passed through
Thanks for that.
security, fellas, and them was a waste of time, but we have a lot of that going on all over the country, man. And
better fix it.
Really need it change.
Better fix it.
And you seem to be the only way that it can be done, eh? all talk and no play from all the rest of them, so we want it done.
Come in South. Send
I'm
me
willing to be part of it, man. I'm willing to be part of it. I like the direction you're moving. Very good, strong.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Enjoy your stay. Get some rest, man.
Hello, good evening. You're live.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, good night.
You are doing an excellent job. I know I made a right decision, and I have to commend you. I love your selflessness. I love the way how you're fighting for us.
So
and
sweet.
I pray God that people continue watching, supporting you, and they give you all the support that you need, the strength that you need. I love your family, and people to good work. I'm calling from Cuba.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for that. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for those beautiful words.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Oh yeah. Satish reminded me to tell you that the reason we're doing this live tonight is it's a system test, because we're starting back the live videos every night at 9. This is a WhatsApp call. Hello, good evening, you're live.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, you're live.
Oh, hello, Mr. Alexander. Good night to you. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. I'm calling from Florida here.
Yes, there's a delay on the WhatsApp call. There's a delay.
Okay, good. I want everybody to know that, look, all the well wishes and everything is nice, but the party needs a lot of help, and people need to be there and continue pushing forward. And also, there's something I'm going to say, but to Trinidad and Tobago people, the fact of the matter is that all the suffering that we are experiencing, remember we voted for it, and we have to open our eyes and vote for something different. This is the chance that we have now. The people in Paria who died in that pipeline, that madness that went on, that cover-up, we have to get to the bottom of it. We must not let these things die. We must always push these politicians to the end and get the truth. If we continue to sit down and say, well, boy, what we going to do? You know, we'll never get anywhere. So Trinidadians and Tobagonians, support the only way out, the PEP. Well wishes are nice, but bring something.
Absolutely. Come
bring
on board.
Yourself.
Exactly.
Support.
Exactly.
Be part of it.
Thank
Be
you.
part of the change that you hope and want for Trinidad and Tobago. Imagine you get an ambulance, but all the ambulances are transportation. They cannot treat you on the way. So you are still dying while they're stuck in traffic, trying to get you to a general hospital where you will have no treatment. How much longer you want that, Trinidad and Tobago?
We need to fix all of it. Thank you
Bring
very
it.
much.
It is the only way out. I am here in Florida, Trinidad, and I'm supporting the PEP. You know why? Because Trinidad and Tobago is my home. And you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, are my people. So understand that I will do what I can from here to help all of you. And when my time comes, I come home to fight for all of you too.
Thank you for that. Well said. Thank you, my brother.
So, good night all. And remember, open your eyes, Trinidad, for the love of God, or whatever God you serve. Open your eyes.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for that. And what he said there is a fact, though, because I mean, we absolutely love the support. We absolutely love the good wishes and everything. It's fantastic. But we need your help. We need your physical help. Saturday, Satish organized a meeting of many of the South constituencies, Central and South constituencies, and we had a training session with them about organizing and mobilizing, because, and I keep saying this, political parties can't just be three letters. You have to be an actual party on the ground with structure, and make sure that the party that you're supporting, give yourself, whoever you're supporting, give yourself to that, and make sure that that's what you're getting, that is not just stunts. Everybody could stunt. But if they can't build an actual political vehicle, and I'm watching it, because at some point, all of us who put in our hats in the ring, we have to make sure that we're not an obstacle to progress, that we're creating an avenue. And it may very well be that people have to link up. I don't know. But I do not want to have to consider marriages of convenience that end up in divorce after in government. That helps nobody. We need to make sure that the decisions that we're making are proper, that the policies that we've advocated for all these years, that we do not deviate. I can't be a part of anything like that. Satish told me to remind y'all that the live videos 9 o'clock at night, as much as possible, because this is our community, how our people get together and speak. We are going to be starting that back, and tonight was a system test. The lighting, we broadcast from a different page. We might broadcast from a different page tomorrow, and so you have to follow and stay tuned, because we have multiples of sources of where we could broadcast from in case of any, you know. You could WhatsApp me 682-2110 if you want to message your message, your greetings. We have a meeting on the 15th of May. All transportation professionals, if you make your living driving trucks, cars, maxis, PH taxis, vans. If you are part of rideshare, if you make your living driving, we have an association that you know that we formed, and we are having a meeting on the 15th of May at 14 to 17 Victoria Square. All are invited. Refreshments will be available. No, we don't have steak and lobster. We might have doubles and corn soup. That is our budget. But I don't think we'll ever have champagne budget. I shouldn't say that. I mean, we want champagne budget, but if we get champagne budget, we're spending it on the people, or we're spending it to make sure that we could get ourselves in government and fix this country. If you would like to let your audience know, I have hiccups, you will be live on the Tobago Channel 5 morning show, Rise and Shine, live from the Hyatt Regency. Tune in on their Facebook page. Starts at 6:30. It's a historic moment for us, hosting the show in Trinidad for the first time ever. I have hiccups, so I should stop talking. I will be on that show in the morning. They want me to tell you that. I have a good friend. He told me a story, so I'm gonna tell the story to you, because I wanna share. When I get advice, I wanna come back to you, and you tell me if it makes sense, where I should go, how I should deal with it. Because since he told me the story 2 nights ago, I've been thinking about it, trying to understand how it relates to me. So you tell me what you think of this, right? So this story, tell me. 2 fellas get a job cutting trees. And one fella, and they get paid by the logs that you cut. And one fella cutting constantly, and the other fella every now and then taking a break and going away and coming back. And at the end of the whole exercise, the one who was taking the break cut more trees. And the other guy asked him, how is it possible that you cut more trees when I cut constantly? He said that the times that I took a break, I sharpened my axe. Now, all the people who tell me take a break and take a rest and make sure that you get sleep and thing, yes, and I have been making sure. I have a lot of good advisors, and I want to call people's names, but I know that I can't, because a lot of people doing this out of love of country, and they don't want to be politically victimized. So I just want to tell all of you who give me information. If you notice, I don't point anymore. I use all 4 fingers. It's guidance and advice, and get information. And it's people who know this stuff, and I'm listening and I'm willing to learn. So this person, this guy, he told me about this story about getting the person who took a break, sharpened their axe. But he used it to say that, and he said that the problem some people have with me is that I seem to be handling many things at one time. Now, those of you who follow me would know that on the morning of the Paria incident, that Friday morning, I was actually at fire service headquarters filming a video there about the people who were dying in fires and trying to get to the bottom of that. And when I got home, we had a brief interview with the head of the Fire Service Association, and we were setting up a video interview for that night with him when we got the call from who turned out to be Michael Kerban, or his brother, and one of the Kerban boys, and about the divers stuck in Paria. And we switched gears and we made that an issue. Now, the fire service issue, we also made a national issue. One of our deputy political leaders, Lima McLeod Wilkinson, she's taken that and she's been doing real good work with it. And I'm saying that we do take on a lot. You see, my problem is, and I want to say it's my problem, I hate injustice. I only end up in the Wildflower Park issue because people were being bullied. And when people call you and they have nowhere else to turn and they upset and they hurt and they, you know, if you're an empath, if you're somebody who have compassion for people and you know that you can get involved and fix things. Because what I'm trying to do at Wildflower Park is to end this notion that any private citizen, regardless of who they know or who they're working with, could control public property and dictate who gets to use it. That have to end. And trying to be have to end now. And so that's the reason we're getting involved in that. Wildflower Park became a national issue. Paria became a national issue. Everything that we touch and we put our energy to becomes a national issue. And it's only when I scroll my Facebook page, like if I'm looking for something and I'm scrolling back and I realize what he said is a fact. The volume of things that we address, that we deal with, I mean, we deal with a lot. And the family, friends of this guy who perished, you know, they messaged me in hurt that it shouldn't have happened. And transportation professionals and engineers telling me that it is an insanity that a highway ends at immovable concrete barriers. That is literally turning road users into crash test dummies. And that's what they did. So we have to go down there now and fight that and fight the minister. Somebody tell me today, why you attack these people so hard? Because when they fail, and if you can't do the job, you shouldn't be in the job, because when these people fail, people die. Government affects people's lives. People die when government fail. People's loved ones die. Public health. People's loved ones die when we have no systems of oversight and follow through and law enforcement and response. Those 4 people who died in that pipe, Keith Rowley was allowed to take some kind of high ground because he set up a commission of inquiry. All of that is bullshit. That the Paria board still is the Paria board. The Paria management that is responsible for murdering those men are still the management, still drawing salaries. It's insane that Paria is allowed to function, but OWTU show up and other activists, talking heads grab the story, and like I passed on the fire service issue to Lima, I pass on that to them. But then it's just every now and then you pelt a stone, you make a noise, you say give me some likes. But you're not dealing with it as an issue. So what I want to do is go back down south and call out all of the people who are willing to come and stand up for these 4 men who lost their lives, like Andrea Barrett. When we stood up for Andrea and we lit those candles, it was, and I've never said this, what I'm going to say now, but I want to say this. I felt the reason I got involved in that particular matter is when I learned that this young girl came from humble beginnings. Her mother died when she was young, and her dad raised her alone. And while she was missing, I got all these videos of her as a child and the relationship she and her father had. And I never met Randolph Barrett before, but my heart went out to him because I am thinking the insanity, and Avanel Hector Joseph and Candace Barrett and Felicia, I don't know which one of them was responsible for this guy who came to Arima. He came to Arima to tell the story about his daughter, and his daughter was shot in her car. He was there with her, and he was trying to get somebody to take her to the hospital. We flagged down a taxi and she's bleeding out of her head. And this taxi driver said he wanted blood on his seat. And I'm thinking, we live in hell. People have nobody. People have nobody to turn to. Nobody. In times of crisis, in times of loss, in times of need, there is nobody you could call. There is no organization of state, none. Nothing works in this country. It is a failed state. The only thing that works is the motormouths of people like that jackass we have our prime minister who come in to argue to you and say not a failed state. But not a failed state to him and his family because them eating steak and drinking champagne. The rest of the country catching ass because of the failure of him and his cabinet and his government jokers he have in government. And the failure of the muted, mute, weak nonsense of an opposition that we have. And those 41 only ended up in that parliament because of identity and race politics. When you read all of the talking heads that the media interview, this one launch a party, that one launch a party, they're giving you their opinion on third parties. They reinforce this idea that only race politics can work in Trinidad and Tobago. And we spend so much of our life and time betting that that has to be bullshit. Somebody just messaged me and say, I'm sure you expected a bigger turnout at Wildflower Park today, and that if you're disappointed, it would be understandable. I want to say, no. I know my country, and I know that people need to see. And I had to tell somebody today, I said, it always starts slow, you know. It starts with one candle. It starts with me in Paria, with the family alone. It starts that, but it grows. And when it grows big and it grows strong. And we've learned it. We understand it and we're channeling it politically. So while I'm disappointed, if I went Wildflower Park every single day for this week, by the end of the week, there'll be 10,000 people in Wildflower Park. There will be people on the road, truckers, cyclists, bicycle people, people playing music. Azar and Aboud will pack up and move out of the house. Police will be there directing traffic. The minister will be apologizing to the nation. The media will cover it. But I have a lot of other things on my plate and I need to sharpen my axe and I need to pick the issues. So other people need to pick up Wildflower Park and other people need to go. And when you send me messages and you tell me that what it meant to your father and what it meant to your mother and what it meant to your family and where you grew up, I appreciate that. But take it now as yours and go. You have me. You have me. If they're giving you any stress at all, speak in my name. I will be there. I'll come. I'll come. I promise you that. I want to go and bring the thousands back out for Paria. I want 1,000 people in front Paria gate. Nothing must come in, nothing must go out. The media must come down there and ask how these jackasses who killed these 4 men still getting salaries. How? What's going on inside of there? What are they trying to hide? I don't care about the pre-procedural bullshit hearing. I don't care about that. I want to know that you took action. I want to know that you got involved. You paid these people a settlement. I need to know that you make them an offer. You kill their family. Make them an offer. Give them some support. Some trauma counseling. This country feels like hell. Like Satan and his demon horde run it. And the only reason it feels so is because we let them. We outnumber every evil thing in this country 1.4 million to 1. So why we can't stand together as 1.4 million people and make it work? Why? Why is it so easy for them to fool us by race? Sometimes some of the people that come to, you know they come to attack you. Yeah? You know that the post, the comment is an attack. But sometimes you have to think about the people looking on. And you have to say, you know what, I'll try. I'll try to answer this person and see. Because some people, it really does work, you know. I'm surrounded by people who at one time didn't talk to me or didn't like me. I went to a place in South, the woman said, the first time I hear you speak, I thought you were crazy. I didn't think that any of the things that you were saying were possible, were true, that you could do it. She said, but over the years, and some of the things that you deliver, make me a believer. And now she make her whole place available to us. Come down here and have your meetings here. She do tripping over herself to help us. And so I know that it takes time, and we have a responsibility to have that patience. I get all of that. But you have a responsibility too. You have a responsibility too to not just sit down behind your computer or your TV or your phone watching me and listening to me and commenting. You also, you probably have more power than me. You probably have more voice than me. You just haven't used it yet. You haven't tried it yet. But what I hoped, I started off and I said in that meeting on Saturday in South, that we didn't think that we would ever be as big as we are now. And that we thought, and I thought, that the mission was to inform, educate, and empower. And Trinidad is informed. You could tell. The conversation different. You can't bullshit them no more. They're educated. They understand how shit works, and they understand that this is not correct, and they're empowered, and they're speaking out. And I love that. And what I want to happen now is I want more people to stand up. Yes, it takes courage. Yes, it takes risk. You could never ever get bank loan, and you can't get job in certain places. And if you're looking to rent, I'm telling you, if you're looking to rent a house, the agents have to ask, even if you like it, before you go to see it, you have to ask who own it, because you can't deal with any and everybody. And all of that comes with it, yes. But imagine, like I told the parents, 50,000 children out of the school system. The government have no choice but to respond to you collectively, and that is what shapes political will. You have that power. Everybody who living in Woodbrook and Newtown should be in Wildflower Park every day for the next week. For the next week, go and put on your blanket, take your dogs. Today we took one of our dogs with a ball, and Bella, the dog, was running and chasing the ball, having a good time. It's a beautiful park. It's big, it's nice, and it's comfortable. Go and use it, so that everybody will get accustomed to the idea that this belongs to people of Trinidad and Tobago, and all this shit will down. And that's not just the only one, but all of it is us. And they're going to come down to that over and over and over. And if we want a better country, we're going to stop voting stunts, and we're going to stop voting race. You have to insist, I want debate. I want to hear all of the people who want the job answer for their life's work, answer for their track record, answer for their plans and their policies. Let me hear what comes out of their mouths, that they understand what it takes to run a country, what it takes to run a country like this country. So all those things are important. Yeah, I know I'm overstaying my welcome. I want to thank you all for the patience, for the people who waited this long. I know I took a little sabbatical. I really needed it. I feel well rested. I got a lot of stuff done in my personal life, because I'm organizing to put things with. That's why I have an assistant. I have an assistant in my business. I have an assistant in the politics now. And I'm trying to put things in other people's hands, and that they could manage, so that I could dedicate myself to doing this full time. So that I don't have to worry about business. I have meetings in the morning, get briefed, get updated, make decisions, whatever meetings I have to attend. But for the most part, I want to be available to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to do that because even though they have plenty of people, people will take advantage, and they will call you and they will use you. And when the election comes, they will ain't gonna vote for you. They tell me that in Debe South, and we beat PNM in Debe South. I know that the results in Debe South was more important than the results in Tobago. The results in Debe South told this country that the Progressive Empowerment Party can win. And that's different. Now that you know they can win, you can't tell them that they can't. We've won already. So it's time to win more. And that's the game now, to build that. If you want to be on this team at all, if you want to manage, get involved in any of the things that we do, reach out to Felicia Holder, anything to do with finance, make a donation. We could use any dollar we get, 769-4590. Anything to do with organizing the party, call Satish, 796-8172. We want everybody on board. We want you, and we want you to come and make yourself part of this family and help us build this movement, because stronger together and strength in numbers, and the strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf, and all of that. But I want to tell you, every success that I have had politically has been built on mobilizing people. And I realize that I am good at mobilizing people, and I am getting better at it. And my job is to mobilize 1.1 million people by election time to vote themselves a better country, and that's where we're heading to. But for now, I am making myself available to serve Trinidad and Tobago as a shadow government, free of charge, and I am going to make sure that I deliver better than those in the parliament. You have my word on that. Until tomorrow,